Welcome to TOPKUNS TV. Today, we're bringing you a true life story. One that's raw, real, and will probably make you question everything you thought you knew about love and betrayal. The title says it all. She cheated, but what I did next broke the entire family. Let's dive right in. My name is Mark. I was married to Sarah for 10 years. We had 2 beautiful kids, a nice house in the suburbs, the whole 9 yards. From the outside, we were the perfect couple. We hosted barbecues, went on family vacations, and our friends always said we were couple goals. I believed it too. I truly did. I loved Sarah with every fiber of my being. She was my high school sweetheart, my best friend, my everything. The cracks started to show slowly, so slowly I almost didn't notice them. It began with late nights at the office. Then it was business trips that seemed to pop up out of nowhere. I'd call her hotel room, and she wouldn't answer. She'd text back hours later saying she was in a meeting or her phone was on silent. I'm not a jealous guy, so I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? This was Sarah, my Sarah, but the distance between us grew. The laughter in our house faded. We started sleeping in separate rooms, her excuse being my snoring had gotten worse. The kids felt the tension. My daughter Lily, who was 8 at the time, asked me one night, "Daddy, is Mommy mad at you?" That question hit me like a punch to the gut. I knew something was wrong, deeply wrong, but I was too scared to face it. The confirmation came in the most cliché way possible, a text message that popped up on her phone while she was in the shower. It was from a contact named Alex. The message read, "Last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about you. My world stopped spinning." I felt the floor drop out from under me. I stood there, phone in my hand, reading that message over and over again, my heart pounding in my ears. It didn't feel real. It felt like a scene from a movie, not my life. When she came out of the shower, wrapped in a towel, humming a cheerful tune, I just looked at her. I didn't have to say a word. She saw the phone in my hand, her phone, and the color drained from her face. The confrontation was messy. Tears, shouting, denials, and then, finally, a confession. Alex was a coworker. It had been going on for 6 months. 6 months of lies, secret meetings, and stolen moments. I was devastated. I felt a pain so profound it was physical. Every memory we ever made felt tainted. Every "I love you" she ever said felt like a lie. The first few weeks were a blur of anger and grief. I moved into the guest room permanently. We were just 2 strangers living in the same house, co-parenting our children in a cold, silent war. Our families got involved. My parents were furious, telling me to leave her immediately, that I deserved better. Her parents were apologetic but defensive, trying to find excuses for her behavior. "Marriage is hard, Mark," her mother told me. "You both have to work at it." Work at it? I thought I was working at it. I was the one at home with the kids while she was with someone else. The initial shock wore off and was replaced by a cold, simmering rage. I wanted revenge. I wanted her to feel a fraction of the pain she had caused me. Divorce was the obvious answer, but in my mind that wasn't enough. A simple divorce would let her off too easy. She'd get half of everything, move on, and maybe even end up with Alex. And I would be left to pick up the pieces of my shattered life. No, that wasn't justice. And that's when the idea formed. It was a dark, twisted thought that took root in the darkest corner of my mind. It was a plan not just for revenge against Sarah, but against everyone who I felt had enabled her or hadn't supported me enough. This included her family. They had always treated me like I wasn't quite good enough for their daughter. Now I was going to show them just how much they needed me. Sarah's father, John, owned a successful construction company. He was nearing retirement and had spent the last few years grooming me to take over. I had worked my way up from the bottom, earning his trust and respect. The business was his pride and joy, the legacy he wanted to leave for his children and grandchildren, and I was the key to that legacy. Sarah had no interest in the business, and her brother lived on the other side of the country. I was the heir apparent. The plan was simple, but diabolical. I wasn't just going to divorce Sarah, I was going to systematically dismantle the life and the family she held dear. Step 1 was the business. I started making copies of everything: client lists, financial records, supplier contacts, project blueprints. I worked late not to cheat, but to steal the very soul of the company. I told John I was just being diligent, getting ahead of the end-of-year rush. He praised my work ethic, completely oblivious to my true intentions. While I was doing this, I played the part of the heartbroken but willing husband at home. I agreed to marriage counseling. I sat there, week after week, listening to Sarah talk about her mistake and her desire to reconnect. I nodded and said all the right things. I let her believe we had a chance. I let her hope. That hope was my weapon. The day I chose to execute my plan was the day of her parents' 40th wedding anniversary. The entire family was gathered at their house for a big celebration. Everyone was there, aunts, uncles, cousins, and close family friends. The atmosphere was joyful. Toasts were being made, people were laughing. Sarah even reached over and squeezed my hand under the table, whispering, "I think we're going to make it." I just smiled back at her. Her father, John, stood up to make a speech. He talked about family, legacy, and the future. And then he turned to me. "And I want to give a special thanks to my son-in-law, Mark," he said, raising his glass. "He's more than a son-in-law. He's the son I never had. The future of this family and our company is safe in his hands." The room erupted in applause. That was my cue. I stood up. I cleared my throat, and the room fell silent, expecting my own heartfelt speech. I looked directly at Sarah, then at her parents. "Thank you, John," I began. "But I'm afraid you're mistaken." A confused murmur went through the room. "You see," I continued, my voice steady and cold, "the future of your company isn't safe with me. Because as of Monday morning, I'm starting my own company. And I'm taking all of your top clients, your best suppliers, and your most profitable contracts with me." Gasps filled the room. John's face went pale. "And Sarah," I said, turning to my wife, her eyes wide with horror, "I want a divorce, and don't worry about the house. You can have it. You will need somewhere to live after your father's company goes bankrupt, and he can no longer support your lifestyle." Then I delivered the final blow. I looked at her mother. "And just so we're all clear, the reason for this is that your perfect daughter has been sleeping with her coworker for the last 6 months. Absolute chaos." Sarah started sobbing uncontrollably. Her father looked like he was about to have a heart attack. Her mother was screaming at her. The party was over. The family was shattered. And I just stood there, watching the destruction I had caused. For a fleeting moment, I felt a surge of triumph, justice. But that feeling didn't last. As I walked out of that house, leaving a bomb of my own making to detonate behind me, I didn't feel relief. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt empty, utterly and completely empty. The weeks that followed were brutal. I did what I said I would. I started my new company, and just as I predicted, John's business crumbled. He lost his biggest clients to me overnight. The stress took a massive toll on his health. He ended up having a mild stroke. He lost his biggest clients to me overnight. The stress took a massive toll on his health. He ended up having a mild stroke. Sarah's mother blamed me, but she also blamed Sarah. Their relationship was fractured, maybe permanently. The divorce was nasty. We fought over everything. But the worst part was the kids. They were caught in the middle of this war. They saw their mother crying, their father angry, and their grandparents broken. One day, my son, who was only 6, asked me, "Daddy, why did you have to hurt Grandpa?" "He loves you." I had no answer. I got my revenge. I won. But what did I really win? I lost my wife, yes, but I also lost the respect of my children. I became the villain in my own story. I had let my pain and anger turn me into a monster, someone I didn't even recognize. Looking back now, I see that I had a choice. I could have chosen to walk away with dignity. I could have focused on healing and protecting my children from the fallout, but I chose vengeance. And that vengeance cost me everything that truly mattered. It didn't heal my pain. It just created more. It spread the poison of betrayal throughout my entire family, infecting everyone, including my innocent children. She cheated. That was her mistake. But what I did next, that was mine. And it was a mistake that broke the entire family, myself included. I won the battle, but in the end, I lost the war. Thank you for listening to this story on TOPKUNS TV. Sometimes the path of revenge leads only to a destination of regret. We hope this story gives you something to think about. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true life stories. We'll see you in the next video.